Good evening, everybody. Welcome into the Otter Rhythm Fantasy Studios. I'm Jamie. That's Eli. Welcome back, as I should say, to the Otter Rhythm universe. Welcome on back.
Yeah. Come along the train.
It's well, I'll just put it this way. It's been a minute. We had some I had some personal stuff that I had to work on, kind of like conclude through, and still kind of processing through some of that stuff. But so that's why we haven't been streaming here lately, trying to work on some life stuff in general. So if this was our moneymaker, I'd be trying to work through all that. But since it's not quite our moneymaker yet, it kind of gives us a small reboot, kind of, in the next 8 weeks, you'll be getting a lot of us. So there's gonna be a lot of information kind of flowing out there. And we just figured tonight we were gonna try to do the preview tonight, but just some other things kind of going on. So we're actually gonna give you kind of a minor hot takes before we get into the previews next week.
You know what? I like to call it the snack before the meal. So
who doesn't like a snack?
That's what I'm saying. Usually for me, I hit a little bit of the sauce, a little bit of tequila, helps the digestion here, or maybe an ice cream bar or something. But got some good stuff coming up for you. Like Jay was saying, we've been off. I think I did like a short stream maybe a month ago. I covered a Stanford receiver and a couple other things. I think Zay Jones. I was making fun of him. So nothing new there. But over the next at least 8 weeks, for sure, it's going to be divisional stuff. I think we're going to start with the AFC East, and then kind of work our way over. Maybe do the rest of the AFC, and then snake our way into the NFC, or maybe we'll do a AFC East, NFC East.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, maybe if we want to do that, we could do that too. Most definitely. I know last year we just pretty much went AFC. Got all 1 month AFC, and then next month all NFC. So I guess we'll kind of pick and choose. We'll kind of discuss. Yes, we'll keep it a mystery for sure.
But no, I'm happy to be back. Like Jay was saying, we always mention, you can check out all the, we're on a bunch of different places. We really are. Okay, Discord, Instagram, Spotify, Podbean, Apple, YouTube. You know the drill. And it doesn't right now. We're not a big enough channel. It doesn't pay the bills. So if there's some personal stuff going on or we need to handle things, we have other things that pay the bills, if you will. So we handled that. Now we're back in black, baby, back on track.
Yes, we are. So yeah, go ahead and subscribe to our channel if you haven't, as LA Knight would say.
Yeah.
Go do that right now. And then we're on Spotify, Discord, all that stuff is, well, Spotify should be in the description. Discord, the link is in the description as well. I don't have an Instagram, or the Instagram is Otter Rhythm Fantasy Sports. So I usually just usually I'll let people know when we kind of get a stream set up, and I usually kind of post reels and stuff like that over there. So that's kind of the main, I think that's kind of the way I'm going to be going. They're kind of like the reels shorts that I do with, YouTube. So I'd probably what I'll end up kind of doing over there is the same thing as for the YouTube shorts, just kind of be reels over there more than likely. So kind of our hot takes cuts up from our first streams and stuff like that. So that's kind of our plan. But yeah. So this evening, we're actually just going to give you guys a bunch of hot takes. So, we'll just kind of go AFC, NFC, and then kind of, AFC West, NFC West. So we'll just kind of trickle down the chain line like that. I guess you could put it that way. We'll just kind of go
down the rabbit hole a little bit. Kind of take you guys on a journey. I don't know if you're into psychedelics. I know Aaron Rodgers is. Maybe we'll bring him up. A couple other heavy hitters we're going to touch on. Maybe a few rookies. There's a couple rookies, especially in the AFC West, I like. So a lot of goodies the next probably hour or so. So my imaginary watch. I should get that. I should get
right.
That just find some space up in here.
To do it as Shai would say.
Just do it.
Do it.
What are you sipping on there, big boy?
I already told you before we started.
I know, but you're making me thirsty here.
I know, right?
Well, you
Well,
gotta explain
then,
to the audience what it
uh,
is. Know it.
and then I just got water on the side, you know. Well, I
Well,
mean, for most of you guys, I mean, we just got a
yep,
little
yep.
small chain, little Ziggies up here. That it's an energy drink with no sugar in it, so
That's the way I
very
like it.
tasty, right? Right. It's
I gotta get me.
very
I'll be
tasty.
up there where he's at tomorrow for work. I'll have to pick me one up.
Big old 24-ounce, baby. I mean, for the price of what you're paying for an energy drink, and you can get just a little bit more, and something that's actually a little bit more flavorful. Hell yeah, man.
That's right. Hey, Ziggy's, you come across our channel, help a brother out.
Yeah.
I'll be drinking that all episode, man. I'll be like Chris Farley on crack. I'll be speaking
Right?
and that stuff. Jeez.
But yeah, we're gonna actually get into. So we're pretty much gonna give you guys some hot takes, and then we'll just kind of we'll try to get to as many as we can, and we'll kind of go from there. So we'll just hit up the A. Well, which way do you want to go? Do you want to hit up the
You know what?
AFC?
Hot
AFC
hot
North?
takes for hot cakes. Okay.
Oh, hot
Take that
take.
as you will. I mean,
I mean, I had some hot cakes. I mean, they were pretty
yeah,
fishy,
I
but I
know you
mean,
do.
they were very, very
Got
good
hot
too as
cakes,
well.
pancakes, whatever your speed at. We don't judge here on Out of Rhythm. So I'll start it off with the AFC East, and then on the bottom, usually that's my fault for kind of dropping the ball tonight on the scroll. I like to usually include stats and some other stuff to give you guys stuff to look at while you're watching our stream. But so basically,
We like to be
kind of
professional over here,
professional over here. So Jamie's gonna give the NFC side, and then I'll give my 2 cents on the NFC, and then I'll kind of narrate the AFC side, and he'll give his 2 cents if he has any thoughts. So and he did a little bit differently. Now Jay did a graphic for each of his takes, and should be about 8. Usually I think we said about 2 per division.
Yep, 2 per division, just kind of take, yeah, whatever we thought was kind of like, hey, what kind of eye popping, let's just kind of roll with it, kind of thing. So
Yep.
that's kind of how we kind of thought about it, anyways.
Yep. And we try to do this from a fantasy perspective. It was just a couple, like, what stands out in the division. Obviously, we know, I'll start with the AFC East here. We know about Josh Allen. We know about Tua and Waddle and Tyreek and all the boys down in Miami. Like, there's certain guys. I mean, they're a given. We kind of know what to expect from them, unless there's a catastrophic injury. I don't think there's going to be a major drop off yet with Tyreek and even Raheem Mostard. Guys like that have been consistent fantasy guys the last couple of years. So I try to take more of like a hot take approach, and so I'll see if Jay has any thoughts here. I'll go through the AFC East first. Keon Coleman, impressive rookie. The kid from Florida State. He was at Michigan State, transferred to Florida State for his last year. Had a damn good season, and onward and upward, as they would say. I'm gonna say, you know what? I'm gonna start off. I'm gonna say that he's gonna lead the Bills in targets in 2024, and that's about the time Jay needs to cue the Little John. What? There it is. There it is. Now hear me out here. Hear me out. So I know he's a rookie, but
Ball headphones.
Yep. I know he's a rookie, but Stephon Diggs had 160 targets last year, not on the team. He's down in Houston with the Texans. Gabe Davis, 81. He's not on the team either. He's in Jacksonville. So obviously they still have the young tight end, stud tight end, Dalton Kincaid, running back James Cook, Khalil Shakur. Kind of the guys that have been the Bills guys the last couple of years. Dawson Knox, but none. Dawson Knox, he's kind of junk. But there's a void, and we were saying it all off season. Like when we would stream and we talk about college, the college spotlights, when we were doing those, we're like, if you go to Buffalo, there's an open door. I mean, if you're, first, second round receiver, we were, Troy Franklin and Keon Coleman and guys like that. We're like, hey, you can come in, Lad McConkey, you can come in possibly and be the number one guy from day one. And Keon Coleman's been tearing it up in camp. And just based on that, and I try to be specific about it because, is he going to have 1,000 yards? Is he going to have 10 touchdowns? I tried to kind of narrow it down a little bit. So leading the Bills in targets could mean he has 100 targets, could mean he has 120, could mean he has 92. So it's a variable. Do you have any thoughts on Keon Coleman?
Just small, minor. I guess Keenan Coleman isn't like to me. He isn't like an eye popper. I mean, I know we didn't actually have that opportunity to kind of dig into him to kind of see if I actually liked the guy or didn't like him. And I mean, he was impressive, but it wasn't like he's not like a Neighbors. He wasn't like poof.
No, no,
You know. So
I agree.
so to me, when I kind of look at Keenan Coleman, is can he really be the RB? Not RB, the wide receiver one here.
Maybe
Is
maybe he can. Maybe he can. He'll be Christian McCaffrey. He'll lead him in receiving and running.
Yeah, so I was just kind of like, but can he? It's very possible he could maybe be the second guy in targets, maybe. But with Shakur being there, I just think Allen will kind of rely a little bit more on him because he's got a little rapport with him already. So I mean, Allen's gonna have to get a rapport with Coleman. So I think that to me, I guess Coleman is gonna have to work his way in there a little bit when it comes to finding that perspective, I guess. So to me, I guess will he be the I keep saying running back. I'm fascinated with running backs for some odd reason.
Well, I think you're thinking of Tevin Coleman. Remember the old Falcons running back? So it's, maybe he's a relative. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I noticed it. I was trying to find stuff. Miami, obviously, we just saw the Jalen Waddle contract, and there's been some other AFC. We know about Javon Baker. He's kind of tearing it up so far with the Patriots and in the offseason. But so there's a couple other things I could have went with. But like I said, Keon Coleman just strikes me as a guy. He's not like generational. He's not going to be a Chase or Jefferson, but he could step in and definitely be a huge part of that Bills offense. And then the second take from that division. Yeah, I am wearing a Lakers jersey. So what? Judge if you will. They should have made the playoffs. Full year of Aaron Rodgers, I think, is going to be beneficial for everybody with the Jets. Obviously, we saw the crap that the shit show, effectively known as Zach Wilson. He was there. Mike White, I think, he was quarterback a couple years ago before he went to Miami. Like, they've had some real stinkers over there. I think Aaron Rodgers, his season got cut short after 4 plays last year. I think this year, I think he returns back to form. I really do. Like, not the 48 touchdown Aaron Rodgers from 4 or 5 years ago, but maybe similar to what he did in 2022 with the Packers. He had 26 touchdowns and still had a few rushing yards. I mean, he pieced together, about 240 fantasy points. So I think he's going to be in that like 250 to 260 range. I really do. Not world beater, but maybe top 15 fantasy quarterback Aaron Rodgers. He's no longer that elite guy, but I think he's going to have a bounce back season. And I'll see what you think. But so I clarified in the stats there, he has had 12 seasons over 250 points. So it's not, I know he's not, I know you guys 40 years old, but it's not crazy to think that he could do it for a 13th time. And that would just be in PPR, just in the usual PPR leagues.
Yeah, so just quickly on that too. I mean, I was kind of hoping he would have played last year because
me too. Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, they would have loved him too.
Yeah, so I was all aboard to seeing what was happening, what was gonna go, was gonna go down with these guys, So I was all because I wanted to see freaking, I want to see Wilson. I wanted to see him act, because I think I have him in the league or something. I don't remember exactly, but anyways, I wanted to see him actually like have a great season, a great 2023, and then that really didn't happen. Then they had, they brought in, a bunch of other guys, like freaking Alan Lazar and freaking. All the guys that Aaron Rodgers had as a Packer, end up coming that way. And they were trying to get freaking
David Bakhtiari, the old tackle from the Packers. He was just like an old boys, it's like the gentleman's club or whatever. It's like Randall Cobb, is A-Rod. I need some help.
Right. But I just think in general, I think this is going to be a different looking team this year for sure. I like what's kind of going on there, with Breece Hall, Isaiah Davis, and then they got freaking Braylon Allen. So hopefully Isaiah Davis can make the cut. We covered him in our college pods. I can't even talk now. I'm all excited over here. I'm just
I'm all shook up.
Our college spotlights, which I'll put a little tab in our thing up there. So I'll put him up in the corner over there so you can check that out. But yeah, I liked Brees Hall too as well. And then Malachi Corley is a guy that
Yeah,
a
I like
rookie.
him a lot
So
too.
yeah, but so if you pay attention for next week, we'll probably end up talking about Malachi Corley a little bit more and Alan Lazard and guys like that. So that will be
Yes,
coming
yes.
next week. But just a small little teaser. I mean, I kind of like what's going on. I don't like Alan Lazard so much. Or maybe Corley can be the new Alan Lazard up in there. So we'll see what happens there. But that's just my thoughts in general.
Yep. So that was the AFC East, and reason we started with this is because it'll be the first. Unless something changes, it should be next Wednesday, the 12th. So
Yep.
it's about the same time. So we started with the AFC East just kind of give you guys a little sample, a little preview. Did you want to jump into the NFC East, Jay, or did you want me to continue with the AFC?
Nope. We'll just go with the NFC. So my couple. Here's my couple. We'll just hit it off right off the bat here. So does Dallas, are they the next team that's actually going to have the high, is Lamb going to be, or Dak or Parsons, is he going to be the next highest paid player over Justin Jefferson?
I was hearing, I heard a hot take. I listened to sometimes John Middlecoff from the Volume, his podcast that he's got, and he was saying that Micah Parsons wants like 37 million per year, maybe 140 of it guaranteed. Just a monster deal. CeeDee Lamb, he's actually got stats pretty comparable to Jefferson, and so you can't pay all these guys. I don't know if they're shitting, if this is the NBA where there's a luxury tax and they're just gonna, well, hey, the Warriors all those years to keep Durant and a lot of those guys, they just pay a luxury tax, and it doesn't matter, like whatever, penalize us, we're gonna go for broke here. I mean, this isn't the 1992 Dallas Cowboys without a salary cap. I mean, you can't pay Micah 37 a year. You can't pay CeeDee Lamb, probably in the, at least to AJ Brown. I mean, AJ's getting 32 a year, so it's going to be in that 32 to 35 range, because that's what JJ got. So and then Dak, I'll get to him with the Titans. I actually have a nice hot take there. I don't think Dak's going to be on the team in 2020. What? I think Dak is the odd man out. I really do. I think there'll be a rookie quarterback, maybe Shedeur Sanders, maybe Carson Beck from Georgia. I think Dallas will have a new, cheaper quarterback next year. Take somebody in the first round, if I were to guess, and that might change if ride them Cowboys, if they go out and they win games and make the NFC Championship or something, and they have a big run, then we're in a different place. But just with kind of my take, because I have a lot of passion behind this, because I love this. This is great. I mean, we should post this as a YouTube short or something. I mean, this is who's the odd man out? You can't pay all three guys. Is it Micah? Hell no. Micah is like a modern Lawrence Taylor. You don't know. CeeDee Lamb, your fifth year stud number one receiver. I don't know. You got to keep CeeDee. I think, Dak's the odd man out. You can't pay Dak, Jared Goff money. You can't pay him 52 million a year. That's insane. He's not that good.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking too. And I was thinking like, well, I mean, I rather have, and that's what I was thinking too. Let's keep Lamb, keep Parsons, so that we can have one great guy on defense, one elite, wide receiver, and then then come in and get a cheaper quarterback. I mean, as much as I do like Dak, but we like you said, we can't pay all these guys. We just can't. So I mean, I think that as much as Dak wants these, this next huge big contract, he should go take it somewhere else. That's just my opinion.
He will. It's coming. It's coming.
All right. I'll get to my
too. I mean, how we tied in with the fantasy. He's the odd man out there too. If you do a defensive, where you have defensive players, and I mean, Micah, who's better than Micah? I mean, he does everything. CeeDee Lamb, we just said he's got top 5 fantasy receiver stats the last couple years. I mean, he's comparable with all of his peers. JJ and Chase and AJ Brown and
Tariq Hill.
the Lions, all of his peers that are getting paid monster, 30 to 35 million. He's right in that wheelhouse too. So
yeah,
absolutely. Dak is the odd man out just with like who I want as my quarterback, and then the odd man out fantasy too. Because Dak had 36 touchdowns last year. I mean, he does put up good stats. I mean, I'll give him that. Like he's definitely a top 10 fantasy quarterback for sure, no doubt. But you just can't pay him. I'm sorry, you're not winning a championship with Dak Prescott making $53 million a year. That's just too much money.
Yeah, way too much. All right, going to my next one quick. Malachi Nabers.
What's him?
Does HIM?
It's him.
Does Nabers become? Well, he should become the wide receiver one, but will he lead all rookies in targets this year?
Oh boy. I'm gonna, because I know we got the rest of these you have 6 other divisions to preview, boys. Like, what do you? I don't want to give away all the material quite yet. We got to finish the rest of the stream here. He'll be up there, definitely. I mean, the guy's he's too good not to. He's the best thing they've had since a young OBJ. Since like 2014, 2015 Odell Beckham Jr. So, and I think he's going to be better. I mean, OBJ had he was more flash. I mean, this, first couple years were great, but Malik Nabers, I mean, he's a can't miss guy to me. Like you can't. I mean, the Giants are they're a screwed up organization right now. You can't screw this guy up. I mean, even if that means getting the coach. Yeah, damn sure get that quarterback out of there. Daniel Jones. Get him out of there. Go get a young rookie next year. Another 5-12 season. They'll probably shit can the coach. Probably the quarterback. I think they're going to be cleaning house with the Giants. But this is the constant. Like, this is the guy you build with moving forward. So, but yeah, targets. I don't know what would you estimate? I maybe 95.
With him kind of being in there, a lot of these other rookies kind of got. I would say maybe 85-ish. I wouldn't put him in the 100 range. I think
parlay.
I think some. Yeah, I think
they probably do have something up. I just haven't.
Oh, I'm sure. I think he would be more the 80 some targets because I was just kind of looking at it real quick. They got him projected at at least 1,000 some yards, 1,000 receiving yards, at least 5 or 6 touchdowns somewhere. I pulled 2 of them, and then at least 70 some receptions. So if you're having 70 some receptions, I mean, you got to be that's total 80 some odd targets right there. At least.
Yeah, he could do this. He could get 70 catches and 1,000 yards in his sleep.
Yeah, and compared to
70,000, 6 touchdowns. Yeah, he could do that in his sleep.
Yeah. And I was just kind of looking here quick too, because just to finish this up quick, Robinson had 60 receptions, only 500 some odd yards, but he had 87 targets. Slayton 79 targets, 50 receptions, and only 770 some odd yards. And then you had Hyatt with 373 yards in there. So you can give or take that's their wide receiver core. Sterling Shepard, I think so. Yeah, I could probably see him taking this role pretty easy, pretty quick.
Yeah, he'll be receiver one. I'd say day one. I'm not. Jalen Hyatt's he's a nice complimentary guy, but he's never going to be anything more than, we had higher hopes for him last year. I know, as a rookie, you're not always going to pop or whatever. He might come out like gangbusters, but from what I've seen, he's maybe at his ceiling, a 600 to 700 yard receiver. So he's not going to. And some of the other guys too, and that really don't really have a tight end. We saw they picked up. I know Bellinger's still there. They did get from the Darren Waller from the Raiders, I think last year or 2 years ago, and he never panned out. Just injuries got to him and age and stuff. So they don't really have a tight end either. So. Wait. Well, they did have a tight end, but they let him go to Jacksonville. They had Evan Davis. He's put him up too. So yeah, Nabers is going to be the number one guy. No, and running backs, get out of here. Yeah, this guy will be he'll be the whole damn show. Remember RVD? He'll be the whole show.
Yeah, it's going to be a different looking team. That's for sure this year, and hopefully Daniel Jones can rebound from his ACL tear or whatever he had. So hopefully, Daniel Jones can prove some of these truthers wrong this year, and he comes out just throwing dimes instead of actually, tossing dimes away.
Well, I mean, they don't have much behind him. I mean, you got is Tommy DeVito still on the team, or he's?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they got DeVito and Drew Lock. So
yeah, well, people always talked about Drew Lock's potential, but he's not. I mean, what they're paying Danny Dimes $40 million. They're paying him $40 million a year. They're not. I mean, I could see them maybe trading him in the offseason or trying to get rid of some dead cap or something. But he's not. Drew Lock's not beating out Daniel Jones, and neither is our boy DeVito. He ain't beating him out. So it's gonna be healthy. Daniel Jones will be starting all year, no question.
Yeah,
not gonna get benched. Nothing.
Quite honestly, I'd rather see DeVito to Neighbors all day long. that's just my perspective on it.
All
right, there we go. All right, AFC North coming at you live right now from the Odd Rhythm Fantasy Studios.
I call this the twofer. This is the 2-for-1 special. See, I did like a little mashup, like my my 5th grade version of a mashup. We'll start with gotta cough out the bullshit quick. We'll start with Justin Fields, the two-headed monster in Pittsburgh. Okay, you got Russ, you got Justin Fields. I tried to keep it a little more specific because I think this is more realistic. I don't know what's going to happen. Justin Fields could be. I mean, they could start 1-3, Jay, and then you have the fan base calling for Justin Fields because everybody's curious. He a lot like a guy we just mentioned. That he has all the potential in the world, just doesn't ever, like Daniel Jones. He's got the tools. I mean, he can move. He's got a big arm. He's went to Duke. He just has never lived up to it. I mean, really, he had. So it's the same thing with Justin Fields. Like he has all the tools to be Lamar. Like a fucking jacked up Lamar Jackson, and he just doesn't see the field very well. But maybe working. They brought in Arthur Smith, who was fired from the Falcons. He was a good OC with the Titans. I remember, he worked with Mariota and Ryan Tannehill, and so I don't know. Maybe he could resurrect Justin Fields there, and maybe like I said, maybe Russ shits the bed and Justin Fields gets in there. Middle of the season, like we've seen enough of Russ. He's shot. Take old Yeller out behind the back and put a slug in him. I think. And I'll see what you
dun.
So he's averaging 6 touchdowns a year. So he had 8 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns, and I think 2 touchdowns as a rookie in 2021. So he's averaging about, in that 6 range. So I don't think it's that crazy. I mean, and they're going to use him, kind of in that they keep using slash. Remember Cordell Stewart back in the day?
Oh, yeah.
They mix it up, and sometimes he'd start a quarterback, and then other times it was him and I'm dated here, Neil O'Donnell, or kind of one of those late '90s Pittsburgh quarterbacks. But they'd use him, they'd use him in like unique ways and packages. Like I think that's what they're going to try to do with Justin Fields. 6 touchdowns to me doesn't, especially when their running backs aren't like world beaters. Like Jaylen Warren, Najee Harris is solid, but they're not like big touchdown guys. So I think a lot of and Arthur Smith is known more as a ground guy. So I think Justin Fields kind of takes over that role as almost like the touchdown machine running back. Like I wouldn't be shocked if he had close to 10. I mean, 6 is, I think is I'm serious. I think I think 9-10 touchdowns might not be out of the question on the ground. Passing, like I said, that's just going to vary if how many games he starts.
What?
If Russ gets hurt or he gets benched. Give me what you got. What do you think about Justin Fields? Your thoughts, and then if 6 rushing touchdowns is doable, or if that sounds about right.
I don't. Quite honestly, I don't see that happening. I mean, I maybe one or I don't see that. Maybe 1 or 2. I mean, if Wilson, can't get the job done, Fields comes in and does that. I
I brought
mean,
it up.
yeah, not Najee is the ground pound of that team. There's no question about that. He is the mule that drives that force. And yeah, sprinkling a little bit of Warren in there, but I mean, overall in general, I don't. Fields is not gonna be what he did with the Bears. He's not, maybe this is maybe a slight some of that, but they're gonna try to make him a pocket passer, just a smudge. I mean, that's just my perspective in general. I mean, I think he's just a slighter better version of Deshaun Watson, but I just think that's just me though. I mean, I think Fields. I mean, I love Fields. I just think he was just in a bad organization, and I think Fields is gonna look a lot different if given the opportunity to.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see. Be interesting to see what happened, because we don't know. I mean, was it Chicago? Was it the lack of playmakers? I mean, he was working with Velus Jones and scrubs like that. Darnell Mooney was
Uh,
a receiver a couple of those years, and he's more of a 3 or 4. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see if Justin Fields can. It's like I said, it's buy low. I mean, right now you could go snag him up in a fantasy league, cheap trade or trade a draft pick for him and in dynasty. I mean, I don't think his stock has ever been lower. So I mean, it's worth kicking the tires on. That'd be a good way to put both these guys, actually, Russ and Justin Fields. Kick the tires and see if there's anything left. Get him cheap.
yeah.
But Justin Fields I prefer over Russ because he's, like I said, about 10 years younger. So. Deshaun Watson, I don't like bringing him up because he's no longer relevant in my eyes. But hot take, I mean, what am I going to talk about? Jake Browning's going to beat out Joe Burrow and Cincy.
Oh God, this is so disgusting! I think I'm gonna puke.
I need a shower after saying that. Hey, yeah, maybe what Raven running back is gonna. The Ravens and Bengals are both pretty stable. Like we know what to expect there. Like T. Higgins, I think will be on the Bengals this year, and so there's a couple of they're not as interesting, those two teams, because they're not dumpster fires like the damn Cleveland Browns. Okay? My prediction: Deshaun Watson will get hurt, and then the combination of like DTR, Tyler Huntley, Jameis Winston, like that crew there. Maybe they'll trade for somebody. Maybe they'll try to reacquire Joe Flacco. I don't know, but there'll be a mash. Jay, there'll be a mashup of Browns quarterbacks that take the field. Deshaun Watson won't even. I don't even think he's going to reach 10 games. I mean, this guy, he's stolen money. Has only started. This is crazy. I know he sat out a year. Okay, so he sat out 2021. So the last 2 years, he's only started 12 games. So he's only started 12 games since 2020.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah, it's horrible. Yeah. Very horrible.
And his numbers have been shit too. I think he had 7 touchdowns both years. So he's got 14 passing touchdowns since 2020. And I'm supposed to expect that this guy is going to be a top 20, top 15 fantasy quarterback. Nah. Not gonna happen. Your thoughts? I think this guy is the only reason he's starting, like kind of with Daniel Jones, but Daniel Jones is at least a little more effective. Like the only reason he's starting is that contract. Because why would you get rid of Joe Flacco, who took you to the playoffs, actually had some good fantasy games the last 3-4 games of the year? I know we were playing him in some of our leagues, like you had to if you were injuries or whatever, or 16-man leagues. What are your thoughts on Deshaun Watson, like possibly missing maybe close to half the year?
Hell, I mean, I'd be all for it because I mean, I'm not a fan of I mean,
shitty human being.
He is. I just didn't like. I mean, when he was the Texans, it was him and Hopkins were just, it was something special. You're like, oh hell yeah, man, you wanted a guy like that. Now, I mean, when you kind of go to the Browns, it's kind of it's literally the end of your career. I mean, you're going to be bounced around the NFL. I mean, look what happened to Baker. I mean, he tried, but he's in a better organization.
Yeah.
And this is only adding to list. I mean, why would Jameis Winston want to be another QB on the list of the bad Browns quarterbacks? That's just me. I mean, I love Jameson, but I just think him going there is just a bad situation in general. But I would take Danny Dimes over Deshaun right now.
I would too. I'd take a lot of quarterbacks over Deshaun Watson. I am out on this guy. not touching him with a 10-foot pole, and neither are a lot of women either. I don't think anybody's going.
Well, I mean,
I understand. Jay, I understand from Huntley's perspective. He was never going to beat out Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. Jameis Winston, at this stage of his career, he can't even beat out Derek Carr. So I understand these guys looked at Cleveland like, hey, they've got some weapons there. They got Amari Cooper. Elijah Moore is decent. You have the running. I mean, Nick Chubb's a stud.
Jerry Jeudy, Elijah Moore.
Yeah, they got some
Jabari
weapons.
Thrash.
Thrash. Tillman, the young Tennessee receiver. Maybe he could have a better year this year. They got some pieces to work with. So if you're a quarterback, you're like, hell yeah, I'll take less money and try. You could beat out Deshaun Watson. I mean, he's one of the bottom 10 starting quarterbacks in the league. You can beat this guy out. That's it. That's got to be his mindset. And these are guys that would be deep on your bench. Tyler Huntley and Jameis Winston. I don't think much of DTR. He was shit last year when he played. And he was a rookie.
Yeah, he was all right. And I just, I watched him a little bit in UCLA. I mean, he has a good arm, but I just think going to the Browns was kind of a shitty opportunity for him and just in general. But I was gonna say I was trying to think here what I was going to say here, and I just totally spaced it off now. I'm just like, I was going to ask. I got it. So, in 2 QB leagues, if you actually had to come down to it, would you take Deshaun Watson in a 2 QB league?
Honestly, it depends on how many teams there was. If there was 12 teams,
probably. You think about 2 QB leagues, usually 10.
If it's 10. Okay, well, because it makes a difference. If it's 10, no. 12, yes.
Okay, yeah. That's what I'm curious.
I mean, I don't think the guy's very good anymore, but he's still got weapons to work with, so he's not going to be like trash. If he plays games, he's going to put up a few stats. He's got too many guys to work with. I mean, it's not like he's working with the Giants crew.
Yeah, let's see. He put up. Yeah, he only put up like 1,100 some odd yards passing last year. That's horrible. And only 7 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Yeah, that's horrible.
PU to get him out of here.
Yeah. All right. That's enough NFC North talk. I'm just kind of Deshaun Watson makes me a bit.
Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. All right. Headed over to the NFC North quick. All right. We'll save one for last. All right. So let's hit up this. Jameson Williams. Can he fill in what Reynolds? Can he fill in Reynolds' shoes? Can he come in and actually can he come in and actually be the wide receiver to you? Can he come in and actually, put in a little bit more of a role with the Lions? That's what I want to know.
If he plays. So it's never the question with talent or production, because when the guy's out there, he does it. He disappears sometimes. It's weird. He's got so much talent. The guy's a first-round receiver. It's like he just disappears. I don't know what to make of him. If he's a bust, if he's a guy that just needs more opportunities, more targets, like just play more. He's kind of an enigma, Jameson Williams, but. My immediate reaction is like, because I know the talent, I know the kind of the scheme they run, and Josh Reynolds wasn't that good in my opinion. He had a lot of key drops, especially in that NFC title game against the 49ers. So I think he can, but it's going to be a distant target, like a distant 3, right? Because they're a big, with Montgomery and Gibbs, they're a heavy running game. And then you throw in Laporta, probably the top 5, if not the number 1 fantasy tight end in football right now. And, you got obviously St. Brown, who's clear cut, top of the market, 140, 150 target kind of guy, the receiver one. So everybody below that is kind of, interchangeable to an extent. As long as you got Laporta, St. Brown in the running game, and good offensive line, I think they'll be just fine. But Jameson Williams, to answer your question, I think he could come in. I don't know what exactly his stat line would be, but in theory, he should be the deep guy. He should be the number 2 receiver.
Yes. And speaking of stats, I have some stats for you.
Ooh.
Yeah. So he's actually projected. I did, sleeper and fantasy pros. Sleeper 700 some odd yards. Fantasy pros 688 yards. So maybe a little bit more, 5 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns, give or take in there. So I mean, I was kind of looking at, because there was a couple games where he actually had a couple of splash games. He had over 10 points, and that was against Tampa Bay and Chicago. And then I was kind of looking. He had over 15 yards per target, and then he actually had over 15 yards per average. So I mean, when he catches the ball, he's electric, So I mean, there are some of those games where it's like he actually had like a 35-yard touchdown or 45-yard touchdown in some of these games. So I mean, he's got the speed. He's got the talent to get stuff done. But I think it was just that he was coming back from his ACL, at the beginning of the year too. On top of that. And then, him kind of missing some games here and there too, and maybe not learning. Maybe it wasn't just not learning the offense, so great, coming in too, so some of that too as well.
Yeah, it just, yeah, I don't know, but just my gut, just seeing this, I'm like, and some of the stats you were just reading off, I think he's got all the potential in the world, but I could see a young guy coming and beating him out. Like they don't have a Lad McConkey or, like a Javon Baker. I didn't see them draft anybody like that, but no. I could see some obscure guy coming in that just works harder, can maybe he takes off in the kick, in the return game, and then like, hey, let's give this guy an opportunity. So there might be somebody we're not even thinking about that can come up and because I don't think Jameson Williams is the work ethic. I think would be the question with him. Like it's not talent, it's not ability. It's just can you show up on a at least 14 to 15 game basis, and that's always going to be a question mark with him.
Yeah, and I think Donovan People-Jones can give him a little run for his money, because I like him too. He
like that. I mean, look, the Chiefs made a living off of like pulling guy, like the Packers number 4 or 5 receiver, or who, some random 4 or 5 receiver from a team, and then making him relevant. Like, oh, MVS is he's catching 3 touchdowns in the game, or he's whatever. He's catching. So I mean, Peoples-Jones, he could be kind of a hidden gem for the Lions for sure. With Josh Reynolds out of the way, because Josh Reynolds was that guy. I mean, he was a journeyman. I mean, with the Titans and Rams, and Josh Reynolds found a home with the Lions. So yeah, Peoples-Jones could be the next Josh Reynolds, and maybe he jumped. Maybe it's crazy. Donovan F. Miller, Big D, baby.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, nice. Yes, it's nice to see you, Donovan. Yeah, we were just talking about Jameson Williams here. We're just kind of seeing can he arise, be that star that that the Lions need to repeat, get back to the Super Bowl this year, maybe to the Super Bowl this year. But we'll have to see about that for sure. But yeah, other than that, let's get into we got 2 more divisions to hit up, and we got quite a bit to. So
did you do
Yes, I got one more too for the AFC North, so that's why we got to hit this one quick.
Okay.
Just quick thoughts on Justin Jefferson. What do you think?
They had to give him the money, but they're going to regret it. He missed 7 games last year. I'd give it to you give it to a quarterback, because unless it's a weird circumstance like Joe Burrow or like a concussion or something that's kind of out of your control, these guys are going to start at least 15 to 17 games. So quarterback, I don't have any, that's just the market for it. If you're good enough, you're going to get 50, 55 million. I mean, that's just the going rate. And for the, fringe top 10 guys like Tua and Cousins, they'll get like 45 to, 50, somewhere in there. So, but like receivers, 35 mil and especially for this guy, I think he's a little fragile. And I know his skill set's elite, but and I know I know about all the stuff, his production and everything, but that just seems a lot to me. 35 million for just a durability. It's a durability thing. It's like I don't have any. AJ Brown isn't as good. But to me, AJ Brown is more durable. DK Metcalf isn't as good, but he's more durable. So there's a lot other receivers you could get a little bit cheaper that are more durable than Justin Jefferson. His high end is higher than anybody's. Like his high end is the top in the league. But but I mean, in a couple years, Jay, $35 million might not seem like that much. Maybe every top 15 receivers making at least 35. In a couple years.
That totally could be. Yeah, just my thoughts in general too. I mean, it's just seeing that big old contract to me, and to me,
110 million guaranteed too. So basically three of those years are fully guaranteed.
So he could be injured a whole year and he's still getting paid. So it's just like, and that's the thing that comes down to that. You just don't know what the future is going to bring. Let's pay him now, but like you said, durability is going to come down to it. What happens if he ends up breaking an ankle or something? What if he's like a Michael Thomas and he ends up, having issues with his foot? You just don't know. It's something like that. You give this big contract now, and then you're screwed later on. You're like, oh shit. Then now you got to do a low budget wide receiver in there somewhere to compensate for missing Jefferson.
Well, and they're gonna have to pay Addison too. I mean, if you want Jordan Addison for a second contract, he'll be right, because my opinion, he's just I think he's just as good as Jalen Waddle. Like once we see I really do. I think he's just as good of a number 2 as Jalen Waddle is. So I know he's only in his first year and going into a second year, but Addison's going to be a guy that's going to get a second contract, and he's going to get monster money. So you're going to be paying I think they're going to regret it. That's just my initial impression of it. I know how good he is. I know what stats he puts up, but he just seems a little fragile to me. And it could be like one of those NBA contracts where you're stuck. Like, remember Gilbert Arenas all those years ago with the Wizards? That contract was an albatross around that franchise for years, because the guy wasn't out there. He was hurt every year. Or Derrick Rose with the Bulls. I mean, these NFL contracts, because they're just about fully guaranteed now. These top guys, because at least if it's a 3-year deal, at least 2 of the 3 years are guaranteed. If it's a 5-year deal, like at least 4 of them are guaranteed. If it's a 4-year deal, 3 of them. So I mean, it's only really 1 year that's not guaranteed for these top guys that are signing these monster contracts. So it's my 2 cents.
Yeah, it is. That's just my perspective too. It's even though he got this big old contract, I think it might. I mean, it's good enough for everybody. It makes everybody in camp happy, but in the future, what's going to happen? That's my thoughts on it. All right, we got one more quick, then we got to hit up the AFC South, and this one's going to be a banger.
Oh, this guy! Oh, no, no. Oh man,
I know you want to talk about this guy.
That's why I think that's where all the bullshit. It could be allergies, or I had a cold for a little bit. That's where all the bullshit's coming up is in my throat right now, is from Caleb Williams, because what am I smelling? Oh, bust. Where? And I know Donovan's watching the stream. He's loving this. Big Packer fan. What? Vikings fans probably loving this. Lions fans probably loving this. Oh, the Bears strike again. You know what I mean? They're going to give this guy every tool known to man. Okay, Troy Aikman, get out of here. Troy Aikman, that wasn't a fantasy era he was playing in. Like the 90s. That just wasn't. I mean, he had Michael Irvin and put up some decent stats, but Troy Aikman in today's NFL would be putting up what Dak is for sure. 35 to 40 touchdowns for. I mean, Troy Aikman. That just wasn't a fantasy era. It was more of a running game with Emmett. Patrick Mahomes, obviously top fantasy guy, top quarterback in the league, no question about that. He's nowhere near these guys. He isn't gonna. Stop. Just stop with this crap. Keenan Allen, you got DJ Moore. Some of the, I forget all the running backs they signed, but tight end, you got Gerald Everett, Cole Kmet. I think Mooney's still on the roster. He's better as a number 3 or 4 than he was as like a number 1 or 2. There's Roma Dunze, forget about him. Roma Dunze, number 9 pick. Like, I mean, they stacked the deck in this guy's favor, and I still think he's going to be a bust. It just varies where he's going to fall. Like, is he going to put up like, I think like Will Levis stats, where it's not like he's not going to shit the bed. He's got too many. It's like with Watson, he's not going to fully shit the bed because he's got so many tools to work with here. It's like working with Snap-on tools. It's like you really can't fuck a job up. I mean, if you're working with snap, maybe if you're working with ear wrench, I don't know, but it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for him to screw this up. But I could see like a stat line similar to like a Will Levis, and Will Levis is working with less, but maybe what 18 to 20 if he starts a whole year, like 18 to 20 passing touchdowns, 5-6 rushing touchdowns, which isn't like it's bust in a sense that he'll be good enough to like probably start in the NFL, but not like they're talking about this guy like he's the next coming, like he's Andrew Luck, like he's Patrick Mahomes, like he's Peyton Manning. No, he's not going to be any of these things. This guy's not. Here, see what Jared says. Caleb Williams is like Patrick Mahomes. If Patrick Mahomes wasn't good at football, yeah. He was. I know it's just off season, Jay, but I heard a report like and it's just like whatever, like it was like 7-on-7s or something. He threw a bunch of picks, and I think people overreact now because. Yeah. I think people overreact now because of social media. Like everything. I mean, people know everything. I mean, Aaron Rodgers probably struggled in camp in 2005, 2006 or whatever. So, I mean, I'm not going to rail on the guy for that. I don't like his demeanor. He's a little. I know he's, decent size, but he's not Josh Allen. He's not 6'5" and mobile, 6'5", 240 and mobile, and got a big arm. He ain't Josh Allen. So
my
name 15 quarterbacks I'd rather have than Caleb Williams. Absolutely.
Yeah. And my thoughts with Jen, I was just hearing, I scroll through a lot of social media. Some of these guys think, oh, he's going to be the next Patrick Mahomes. And I'm like,
no!
I'm like, hell no. Like, and that's when I was kind of getting to think like, well, he's not really elite, but that's why I was like kind of thinking like the Cowboys, Aikman, and, he had some pieces around him to help him make him look good, to help them, give him a reputation of actually being a good quarterback. And that's why I was thinking like, well, they had Alvin Harper, Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith came in there, and so Caleb Williams has, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Roma Dunze, so guys like that. So that was my perspective on it. But, he only has like, to me, honestly, he won't, like, Keenan Allen will probably end up missing some games. So I mean, there's gonna be a lot of DJ Moore in the room, so just book it right now. So you're not gonna see a lot of Keenan Allen in this offense much. I don't think. That's just my opinion.
And Keenan Allen's 34 years old. DJ Moore, I trust DJ Moore. But Roma Dunze is a rookie. I mean, that's still a variable. We know what he did at Washington, but I tend to trust Cole Kmet and DJ Moore because they're more proven commodities. And Keenan Allen's old as dirt. And I think their mistake. I mean, that last year we know what he did with the Chargers, all the targets, all the catches, and I mean, but that was his. I don't know. I think that might have been his last flash and last great season, Keenan Allen. So I think the Bears are getting him on the downside. I think people are going to be disappointed, especially with as good as that division is. I mean, the Vikings are even respectable. I mean, even with Sam Darnold and what JJ McCarthy, whoever they end up starting at quarterback, they'll win at least 7-8 games for sure. So, I mean, the Lions, Packers be playoff teams. So, I think people it's a pipe dream if they think the Bears are going to win 10, 11 games and this guy's going to tear up the league. I think they'd be sorely mistaken.
I don't think Caleb Williams can be a CJ Stroud.
No. See, another hot take maybe. I take CJ Stroud 7 days a week, twice on Sunday over this guy. I'm about Jay. I'll be honest. I'll probably take Bo Nix. I'll take Bo Nix over this guy too.
Woo! Here we go.
Going forward, I'll take Bo Nix over Caleb Williams. I think Bo Nix. Yeah, I know. I'm giving away all. Still, I've liked me some Bo Nix so far.
All right. Well, that wraps up the AFC North, and now we got 2 more divisions to get through here.
Yes. AFC South, and I plugged a bunch of Will Levis so far. So I have to talk about the guy, okay? I don't think he's going to have that good of a year. I think he'll start most of it, but I think the Titans are going to find out because teams just don't have leashes like they used to. Like they're not going to keep sending him out there year after year, like mediocre seasons, mediocre stats. I think if you don't have an elite guy, you don't have a top 10, 12 guy, teams are just ready to look what the Falcons did. They just, I think wasted the number 8 pick for a fringe top 10, top 12 quarterback in Cousins that they pay all that money to, because they're like, well, now we have a backup plan. Hey, if Cousins isn't getting it done, we don't care how much we're paying him. We're putting Penix in. So I think Titans will move off Will Levis if it's not a high-end season, and I think it's going to be very mediocre. And that's why Dak Prescott will be the Tennessee Titans starting quarterback in 2025. You heard it here first.
What?
I went through all the teams that don't have quarterbacks, that aren't paying a bunch of money to somebody yet, and this spot just makes sense. Okay, he went to Mississippi State. So, I mean, I know, Eli, geography, Starkville, Mississippi is different than Nashville. Yeah, I know, but it's similar area of the country. I don't think Dak would be that opposed to living in Tennessee, no state income tax. They'll give him all the money he wants because they haven't had anybody good at quarterback. I mean, consistently. I've had a few, Vince Young and Mariota had a couple decent years, but they haven't had a consistent, high-end quarterback since Steve McNair. So I think Dak could end up in Tennessee. What are your thoughts?
Mr. Hatzenberger couldn't cut it either back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah. Zach.
Yeah. But yeah. I want to see what Will Levis can do, and I think he's got some talent there. And they put some pieces around him, with bringing in Boyd, DeAndre,
Calvin Ridley.
and having kind of like a two-headed monster running back, with Pollard and freaking Spears. I think this is just a good combination of them to actually, play, them and the Colts. I think will be the two top teams we'll be looking at. I don't think the Jaguars are going to be kind of punching a hole in winning that division. So, I mean, I think it's going to be coming down to the Colts and the Titans this year between these two teams. But, with you saying Dak going there, hell, I wouldn't mind Dak going there. I mean, if we can have this team right now and have, the Titans trade, maybe swap. Well, Levis can go to the Cowboys and, just vice versa, switch that. Hey, I'm down with that.
Yeah, well, he'd be a hell of a lot cheaper, and he could at least be a bridge. Yeah, if they made a huge trade. I don't know if they go for it, but yeah, Will Levis kind of being the bridge guy for Shador Sanders, a Carson Beck, somebody like that coming in next year. Quinn Ewers, somebody like that. It's interesting to think about. And I'm just, Will Levis had about 102 fantasy points last year, just starting 9 games. And obviously, he's a rookie. He's going to improve on that. But, we'll see if a full slate of season, that would project to be, roughly about 200. So he's I don't know what the fantasy pros or what your I know Jay has a whole kit of like projections. And so I'm not sure. I didn't look at that for Levis, but just off my initial, my projections, I think that 200 to 210 range for fantasy points PPR, I think is and he's got a lot more weapons, like Jay was saying this year. Tyler Boyd and Calvin Ridley and Tony Pollard. He's better as a complimentary back with him and Tajay Spears. So I quite a few weapons to work with, and so we'll see there. AR5, interesting AR5. See what he can do for 2024. Kind of like Aaron Rodgers. I mean, we got less of a snap. We got 4 plays with Aaron Rodgers, but he did more carrying out that flag than he did throwing the pigskin. But AR5, when he was out there first couple games, he was dynamite. He was. And Shane Steichen, one of the best play callers in the league. I mean, look what he did with Minshew. I mean, Minshew had a border, I don't know if he made the Pro Bowl, but he had a borderline, had a borderline Pro Bowl season. I mean, from Gardner Minshew. I mean, come on now. So Shane Steichen knows what he's doing. I think he's gonna rig the offense to, kind of accentuate all the good with AR5. He could stay healthy. This guy could be a top 10 fantasy quarterback. Absolutely. No, he's got all the tools. 6'4", big arm, just quick as a cat. To me, he was always like a bigger version of Lamar Jackson. Just taller, just wider, just a freak. And I think it's gonna be good for everybody. I think the Colts could probably win this division. I know the Texans are there. They're gonna be up there. Jags should be competent. You'd think. Fingers crossed. Jags might end up being the 4th place team. Well, I mean, that might be another take in itself. But for sure, Adonai Mitchell, he's been having a good camp so far. with the rookie. We liked him more than we liked Xavier Worthy coming out of Texas. So Mitchell is going to be a solid receiver. Josh Downs is solid. Pittman, not quite a high-end number one or anything, but, really good receiver. Jonathan Taylor, full year of him. We know what he's capable of. Was the best running back. You could argue the best running back in the league, 2-3 years ago. So we'll see if he's got much left. But I think a healthy AR5 will just help the whole offense, and the Colts. I think all the guys will have better fantasy years. All around the board, tight ends, receivers, Jonathan Taylor, everybody.
Yeah, I honestly, if AR5 didn't get hurt, I think it would have came down to like the rookie of the year between AR5 and CJ Stroud, and just in general. Yeah, I think those two guys would have been actually the talk of the AFC South, because just a little
Who's
bit
better?
of
Yeah. Who's better? Do you want CJ or do you want Anthony Richardson?
Yeah, and I actually I did a little small little 8-man auction, and I think in one of them I ended up doing snagging AR5, just because I know I see the potential of what he can be with just the little sample size we had last year. I know that he can actually be somebody.
I want to be somebody, mama.
All right. All right, so that's Eli's hot takes for the AFC South. And now I have a couple, actually. Yeah, I have a couple for the NFC South, which is kind of, I guess, interesting. Maybe not. I didn't do any Atlanta because I didn't really want to talk about freaking, Penix and I didn't want. I'm just a non-Atlanta Falcon hater. Wait, I am a hater, non-hate. I don't know.
I was gonna say the energy drink you had a little bit earlier. I think it's got a little hate. I think it's got a little hate in there. I think you were sipping on that.
All right, so Bryce Young, can he rebound from his awful rookie year? Can he? Can he actually be a little bit better than he was last year?
Nope, guy can't play. No,
I can't play.
I'm out on Deshaun Watson. I'm even more out on Bryce Young. Just stay away from me. This kid. Cancers will be taking part. Sorry, Bryce.
I honestly, I would actually, if I had to, I would actually take a swing on Bryce Young in best ball. As far as redrafts, if I had to in two quarterback leagues, I would. If he was kind of a last option in especially the 16-team deep league, if I had to, I probably would. I would probably take him over Watson, just because if you think about it, they got Jonathan Brooks. They just, Xavier Legette, Deontay Johnson, Jonathan Mingo. Who cares about Adam Thielen? Not so much about Terrence Marshall, but
I think he's getting traded. I think Thielen's going to be on a contender. It'll be like a Ravens or a, some team like that, Chargers. Somebody's going to trade for Thielen.
But it's very possible. And I just thought that with the moving pieces that Carolina was doing, it kind of makes it's kind of like makes their team look a little bit more interesting. It's almost kind of like seeing Atlanta. They didn't really have they had London for a little while. London was their only guy down there. They had Bijan. They had just a couple pieces down there. Now they have a couple more pieces down there with Atlanta, but I just like Carolina just a little bit more. So I would actually go. I would take Carolina over Atlanta. That's just me. I just like their pieces a little bit better than Atlanta. But who wants Rondale Moore in Atlanta? Sure in the hell, not me.
I'm out on this guy. Like I said, I think they're going to be in that same camp as probably the Giants, Cowboys. They'll be taking a quarterback next year. Carson Beck would make sense. Athens, Georgia's not that far from Charlotte, kind of that same area of the country. So Carson Beck would get the fan base. If they have like the number 1 pick or top 5 pick, he'd get the fan base all jazzed up. But you could give him the best tools known to man. Like he had at Alabama, like all the advantages known to man. No, I don't see it. I know they got our Canales, the Bucks OC that was working with Baker last year, and I think he worked with Geno Smith a couple years ago. So he's kind of like a modern quarterback whisperer, but I don't know. There's just not much to work with. The guy's 5'9", 180 pounds. If he was, he was cleaning with us, or if he was, if he was taking liquor off my truck, out of the warehouse and loading up trucks, and if he was just a guy bagging groceries, like there's a lot of 5'9", 180-pound guys not playing quarterback in the NFL. You're too small, dude.
Yeah.
That's even small now for a cornerback. I mean, there's
they even say running backs too. That's small.
Yeah, that's even small. Yeah, small for a running back. Like he's, I'm sorry, he's not super athletic. I mean, he's not. I mean, we know that when Russ was in his prime, he was kind of a magician, and we know how fast Kyler Murray is, how big of an arm Kyler's got for his size. And there's these other short guys. I mean, Drew Brees, his accuracy, his leadership. There's been other short guys that have really thrived, but he doesn't have any of those elite skills. He just doesn't. I didn't. And last year I didn't see it. And he was given every advantage. Alabama had the best defense in the country, best offense in the country. And think about all the receivers. Think about all those like first, second round receivers the guy had. I'm out, and I wouldn't. Fantasy wise, you're gonna have to, in 2 quarterback leagues. Just because I'm out on somebody doesn't mean like in a 2 quarterback league, 12-man, that I'm not gonna play him. So, but in terms of like being a high end guy or being a future $50 million guy, that's not him. No, I don't think Bryce Young's getting a second contract. Nope.
Yeah, I don't know. I just hope that maybe he can spur a little something for him to maybe be a backup somewhere. More than likely, more than possible. If he had to play.
UFO. Birmingham Stallions just called, or the AJ McCarron needs a backup for the St. Louis Battlehawks.
Oh, good God. Oh, yeah. I don't know what to say.
Jay, it's a little off topic, but I was watching the UFL game. I think it was the San Antonio and St. Louis game. That was some of the worst football I've ever seen. Like it just sailing balls over guys' heads, terrible incompletions, terrible interceptions. Couldn't hold on to the running backs. Couldn't hold on to the football. I mean, it looked like it to me. What I call it, semi-pro football. It's semi-pro, look semi-pro, look Bush League. Don't watch that crap. So when we say UFL, we use it in a demeaning way. So Bryce Young is a starting quarterback for one of the 8 UFL.
What?
What? Yeah. So that's just one of those. I mean, one of my favorite guys that was drafted by Carolina ended up not even playing and ended up being, so I guess don't say this to a lot of these, truthers in, these Facebook groups that love these little minor league football leagues. And they're like, oh my God, what are you looking at? I just seeing these guys.
You don't know good football when you see. Oh, I think I do. I think we cover the NFL and FBS. Okay, that's why
I made a cut.
Way better product than any of that crap you're watching. UFL, CFL, IFL, EFL. That's my league. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Enough of that. We'll get into some Bub memes. I will put Bub memes up in the corner over there for you guys to check out. Up in there, somewhere up in there. So check that. I'll put a link up there for you guys to check out him. We did a college spotlight on him. So yeah, can Bub Memes be a wide receiver too? Could he outbeat maybe A.T. Perry or Shaheed in in this offense?
Whenever I see A.T. Perry, I'm always thinking of Katy Perry, like the singer.
Oh God.
I don't know, but I remember a 7th round pick in like the Sean Payton, Drew Brees era that was like, I made multiple Pro Bowls, was a stud, put up a bunch of fantasy numbers. Anybody remember Marcus Colston? That's who Bub means. Different body type, different kind of receiver, but same concept. I think Colston was a 7th rounder out of Hofstra and had a damn good career. So Saints have done this before. They've taken a 7th round receiver and made him into gold. And we did a college spotlight on Bub Means. So you guys should know, if you watched that, how highly we think of Bub Means. You know what, with Michael Thomas being out of the way, and Michael Thomas was shot at the end. We all admit that. Like, he wasn't the, Michael Thomas from the, 2018 or whatever, but 2019. I don't see why he couldn't be the number 2 receiver with the Saints. Absolutely. I don't see. Shaheed, solid. He ain't great. A.T. Perry had a decent rookie year, but he's, nothing special. Like, he could jump these guys. Bub Means could go from being obscure. He wasn't really well known. He could go from an obscure guy, and from Pitt up to where taken in the draft, 7th round pick, and or was he? I'm sorry, was he 7th or 5th? I thought it was. Because I want to make sure I have this correct, because there'll be the haters. The haters will come in. Oh no, Eli was a.
I am looking right now. I think he was a 5th rounder.
Okay, well,
handy dandy notes.
Yeah, beautiful. Jay saving the day again. He was a day 3 guy, so similar to Colston back in the day. Late round guy that could pop. Yeah, Bub Means is good. He's a guy with. I love his name. Bub Means. It's just a great name. And he's gonna get a lot of targets because they don't have much else to work with. Derek Carr is gonna need some pieces, and he can be one of them. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Working with.
Yeah.
You got obviously, you got the name slips my mind. The stud from Ohio State.
Chris Olave.
Chris Olave. Yeah, Chris Olave.
Yeah. Yep.
He's the clear cut number 1. But beyond that, yeah, you can beat guys out. Yeah, I was saying that when we did a spotlight with him. We're like, some of the Saints weren't one of the teams, but I was like, this guy could be a number 4. Hell, he can be a number 2 or 3 with the Saints for sure.
Yeah. Projection wise here, they got Sleeper has them at 12 receptions, only maybe a touchdown and 145 yards. Fantasy Pros 217 yards and 18 receptions.
Sign me up. Yeah. Take the over on that. If I can bet on that, you want to make some money here, you want to make a little money, then bet on Bub Means to definitely shoot past both those numbers. He's going to more than double that for sure.
Yeah.
I could see between 500 to 600 yards and like 5 touchdowns, which would be a solid rookie year for where he was taken, 5th round pick.
Yeah.
5 to 600 yards, 5 touchdowns. Yeah. That's doable.
A.T. Perry had 18 targets, 12 receptions, 246 yards, and 4 touchdowns. But he didn't start until week 10. So I think he was injured. I don't remember exactly there, but he didn't start until week 10 on. So that was A.T. Perry's.
Katy Perry.
Yeah, no, A.T. Perry.
No, I know.
I know.
Until he does something, he gets 1,000 yards or 10 touchdowns or something. He's gonna be Katy Perry to me.
There you go. And Rashid had 75 targets, 46 receptions, 719 yards, and 5 touchdowns. But he'd also missed 2 games too. So I guess that's just
solid. I have no problem Shaheed being like the number 3 receiver. I think he could be my number 3-4 receiver any day of the week. I'd like him in Tampa.
There we go. I know. I think Bub Means is going to be a guy is going to be a reckoning this summer here. I think his name's going to be mentioned a little bit more. And I know right now for a fact he is actually out there and available in every league available now.
Snag him up. Yeah.
So and it won't hurt to actually put him on your bench. Put him put him on your bench.
Take our advice here. If you're doing dynasty, stash him away. Like I said, he's cheap right now. He ain't gonna be. It's gonna be like the Tank Dell thing. Tank Dell last year at this time was cheap. He ain't get. Tank Dell's. We know what he did his rookie year. Bub Means he ain't gonna be cheap this time next year. So get him now. Yep,
for sure. All right, our last divisions, and then we are up out of here.
It's been a great preview so far. We're giving you guys, and we're giving away some of the sauce here too. So. When we get to these divisions, and we'll be doubling down on a lot of this stuff too. So, I know we're going longer than we thought, but that's just what happens. It's our show. We want to go long. That's going Aaron Judge with it. All rise for the Judge. AFC West. I know it's a little
brother.
No,
Yeah,
that guy
right.
doesn't
That was
stink,
a little
but
hard.
yeah.
I tried to do a yellow into an orange because with the Chargers and Broncos there, but Chiefs are pretty boring. I mean, I guess the most interesting thing is okay, who gets the targets that Rashee Rice was going to get? That's the only interesting thing with them.
Yeah.
I think it's going to vary. I mean, I'm not a fan of Worthy, but they're going to find a way to work him in and some of the other veterans that they have. So be interesting to see there. Raiders are junk. I mean, there's not a lot to. I mean, Devontae Adams is going to do his typical thing. They don't have Josh Jacobs anymore. Don't really. I mean, they got 2 tight ends. I guess Brock Bowers is about the only interesting thing. Let's see what Brock Bowers should do as a rookie. But so those 2 teams, I'm like, eh. But what interests me more is the Chargers obviously bringing in Jim Harbaugh, getting more credibility and weapons for Justin Herbert, and one of them being Ladd McConkey. And I think he's going to lead the Chargers in receptions as a rookie. I don't want to go on that Puka level because Puka had one of the all-time great rookie years, but I think it's going to be a similar concept where Ladd McConkey is going to be kind of guy under the radar that came in from Georgia and was drafted and is going to end up probably having 1,000-yard season because they lost all like Keenan Allen had 150 targets last year, so the top 3 guys from last year, none of them are on the team. Gerald Everett, gone. Austin Eckler, gone. Obviously, Keenan Allen with the Bears. So the next guy in line, Quentin Johnston. Quentin Johnston, is debatable, like how good he's actually going to be. So Ladd McConkey, I think, could come in day one and get wide receiver 1 targets for sure. I think the coaches love him so far, and Justin Herbert's going to love him because he's that reliable. He's that Cup, that Puka, that Julian Edelman back in the day with the Patriots. He's that kind of guy.
Snazzy. Oh, were you waiting for me to chime in? You
got thoughts on Ladd McConkey?
I was just waiting for you to cue me in. I'm just like, okay. I was like, what?
And go.
Well, as I think the Chargers are a little bit better than the Chiefs. I just like I just think they got some more. I think they got better quality wide receivers. Joshua Palmer. Well, Josh Palmer, Vlad coming in. I think Quentin Johnston takes a better step next year. This year, I think he was trying to learn the offense and stuff like that. So he kind of comes in there. So I think with all those targets, from Keenan Allen to Mike Williams being gone, so there's quite a few targets to go around with, and I'm not trusting the tight end position there with Will Disley and Hayden Hurst and all those other guys. I'm not trusting any of those. Well, maybe Ben Mason, maybe a rookie, but I just can't do anything with Will Disley or any of those guys. But I would definitely take Ladd or Palmer for a wide receiver 2 for sure. Quentin Johnston, I'm kind of debatable on. I would probably end up taking him later in the rounds. I think you can probably get him in the double digits more than likely. But I don't know if he'll be their wide receiver 1 though. That's my thing about it. I know they have a couple other guys too that Brendan Rice, and I think there was one other one that I think
late round guy.
Cornelius Johnson too as well.
Yeah, it's just guy. I get that feeling. Like it's like the Keon Coleman thing is the same thing. I get some of these guys that come in. I'm not impressed with their receiver room. The Chargers were one of those teams when we did a lot of these spotlights that they were constantly in the top 5 because their receiver room was junk. I mean, they basically cleaned house is what they did, and their tight ends are even worse. So I thought whoever they would take would, I thought it might be Troy Franklin or whoever. Ended up being Ladd McConkey. I don't know. I follow the league. I follow like what's going on in these camps, and when teams are really high on guys, that perks up our ears. Like because we heard that about Puka last year. If you had paid attention, if you were paying attention to the league in the offseason, May, June, you would have been like, oh, Puka's going to be pretty good. Not as good as he was, but you're gonna be like, okay, this kid's going to be pretty good. Ladd McConkey's going to be the same thing. You're going to be like, you should probably be paying attention because you can draft him pretty low because he's still kind of a hidden commodity, and I would invest in him. Number 2, Jay, Bo Nix. I think he's going to start day 1. Who's going to Zach Wilson? Are you kidding me? You're going to beat Jarrett Stidham. These guys going to beat him out? No. Bo knows. You know, remember Bo? Remember? Fuck, what was it? What am I thinking of? The running back, Bo, number 34 with the Raiders. What the hell am I thinking?
You're talking about Bo Jackson?
Bo Jackson, yeah, Bo, yeah. It's slipping tonight. Bo knows. So this is the new Bo, and I think he's gonna have a really good fantasy year. I think he's gonna have, maybe similar to what Will Levis is doing in Tennessee. You know, around that 200 to 210, 215 range, with fantasy points PPR. I know he's not working with a ton, but I think they're building this whole off. You know, from day one, I think this was Sean Payton. It's the guy he wanted. They're building this whole offense like he's the second coming of Drew Brees, and we know how good Drew Brees was all those years. So, I don't know if they're going to pay Cortland Sutton. They're probably going to have to. They need a number 1. He's not the greatest number 1, but you got to pay somebody. And hopefully they can kind of build this up over the next couple of years. Because, I mean, right now they're in cap hell, having to dump, Russ like they did. So, I don't know. What do you think? What do you think of Bo Nix so far? And if he could be, maybe like a top 25 fantasy quarterback, like top, like borderline around 20th, like between maybe 22nd, 23rd fantasy quarterback this year.
I think he has the potential to actually be kind of I for sure the top 30 for sure.
Yeah.
Top 30 for sure. So I mean I don't think he's gonna be there's only 32 teams, so there's no way he's gonna be, 32nd in as QB, so I think, at least in the top
Not
30,
with Deshaun Watson starting games, no.
Yeah, for sure. I just think that, with them kind of, them actually kind of hitting that cap with Wilson, they're gonna have to go with, they try to get a little bit younger with cheaper contracts and stuff like that too as well. The guy, they actually got quite a few guys that could come in here and make this team look a little bit different. I mean, what was it? Vele coming up in there. Troy Franklin, is a guy I want to come on to watch it.
Yeah, like both.
Yep, yep. And then Tim Patrick, he's been hurt so many years. Yeah. So this
2019, Tim, time to retire.
Yeah, and he's 30 something. So I mean, they have to get young. I mean, with them bringing in Bo Nix and then him, the coach drafting him. This is who he wants. So hey, I mean, I don't think the MILF Hunter is going to be coming in and taking Bo Nix,
right.
but hey.
There's a better chance that Zach Wilson is on Pornhub before the end of the year, before he starts over Bo Nix. There's a better chance Zach Wilson's doing porn with 50-year-old gilfs and milfs. That ain't gonna happen.
But yeah, I was just thinking here. I mean, if you look at their crew here, they got Josh. They brought in so they got Devon Vele. Hopefully he can actually get in there. He's 6'5". We actually did him at the end of our college spotlight. He was actually our last college spotlight we did before the draft actually did happen. So I'll actually put a little ticker up there for you, a little link up there for you guys to check him out. But yeah, they have Patrick Thomas, Tim Patrick. Not so much. He's 30, done. Mims, we thought maybe he would have flashed last year. That didn't happen. Troy Franklin coming in there, I like that. Philip Dorsett, he's old. Nah. So this crew, this team's got something to take a look at. I think there's some pieces there that I think can look different this year. And, the wide receiver, the running back crew, that's another day for us to talk about. But just in general, I think Bo Nix has some guys he could probably toss to and maybe get a rapport with. And with Troy Franklin already being there, and he already played with Troy Franklin, you already know that's going to happen.
Yeah, and keep an eye. I didn't bring him up because I like me some Bo Nix so far. I didn't bring him up, but if you want kind of an undrafted guy that comes out of nowhere, maybe like this year's Keaton Mitchell, Blake Watson from Memphis, with the Denver Broncos here, because they've got. Do we really trust Javonte Williams' health? Javonte can never. I mean, he's productive when he's on the field, but the guy can't stay healthy. So Blake Watson could work his way up the running back depth chart pretty quick. I think Sean Payton already likes him, so that could be this year's Keaton Mitchell, or the kind of the undrafted guy that comes out of nowhere and just booms.
Yeah, we have Aldrick Estime in there. I know you didn't like him all too much either.
No,
Notre
not
Dame,
at all.
but
No, he's gonna beat. Blake Watson's gonna beat him out.
Yeah, I think Blake Watson is kind of similar to McLaughlin a little bit. But just a little, just better in that aspect there. Yep. Yeah. But I think Perrine Samai actually probably ends up getting.
Perrine.
I think he gets the slasher. He gets the slash. He's up out of there this year.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they might even cut him. A couple running backs pop, and I could be shocked.
Yep. All right. So that actually is the AFC West. That gets Eli's takes on some of this stuff, and all right, I'll get my little last couple of things in here, and then we are up out of here. All right, over to the NFC West. All right,
NFC West.
Are you ready?
All rise.
Not for you, but for JSN. Do we actually finally, do we kind of actually see a breakout from Jackson Smith Njigba?
I think, because Tyler Lockett, 31 now?
I think
DK Metcalf has been teetering. Is he going to be traded? New regime like him? Does the new regime like him? There's just a bunch of questions about the other receivers. Is it a new day in Seattle? With the new coach, and they're going to be defense oriented and run game oriented with Kenneth Walker, and there's a lot of variables there. I think this could get sideways quick if the Seahawks are out of contention like mid season. But and they might be. The Rams are going to be good. 49ers are going to be good. Cardinals might surprise some people. So the Seahawks could maybe be a fourth place team. Midway through the year, maybe they ship out DK Metcalf. If DK is out of the way, Tyler Lockett's not as much of a factor anymore. JSN becomes the Seahawks receiver one. Yep, I'm calling it. By the end of the year, by week 14, 15, JSN will be the Seahawks' number one targeted guy. Absolutely. What? It will be a breakout year. You're damn right. We called it here on Out of Rhythm. JSN, yeah, you can't see it now. I can see through the clouds. I see it. In my mind's eye, I see a DK Metcalf trade. Tyler Lockett falling off even more. None of the other. I mean, Jake Bobo. Is Jake Bobo going to jump him? No. Okay. JSN all day.
I don't think there's a Jake Bobo. Oh yeah, there is still a Jake Bobo. Jake Bobo.
Bobo Fett.
Yeah. Yep. They got Chenaults up there he used to be with the Jags and then some other team. Yeah. So they got Cody White, I don't think he really flashed too much, but we'll end up getting into a lot of these names too when we dig into our previews. But yeah, DK is 26, Tyler Lockett's 31. So yeah, he's kind of getting up there. So they're gonna have to get JSN in with this offense a little bit, and who knows? I mean, does Geno last? Does he play a whole full game the whole season? Does he repeat?
Jay, this can go pear-shaped real quick. That's why I'm saying, get your JSN stock. If you can trade for him now, he had a pretty good rookie year last year, but while he's still reasonable, I'd get him now. I get your grubby hands on him now. His stock's just gonna go this way.
JSN is actually projected for 738 yards from Sleeper, 770 from Fantasy Pros. So. And last year he had 93 targets. I mean, that's quite a bit. That's almost 100, almost nearly 100 some odd targets he saw. Almost 100 some odd targets.
Even as a rookie, they treated him like, hey, you're the heir apparent. That's the impression I got. Like, hey, if we get out of content, if we get bad here, we move off Geno, DK, you're the heir apparent. You're going to be our number one guy, going forward. So, yep. I like this. I think it's gonna be a major breakout. I think 1,000-yard season kind of breakout.
Yeah, I think he sees about 800 some odd yards, and I think like I think Lockett kind of settles back some, I think a little bit, but I think Jason steps up a little bit more, and now that they kind of got Geno Smith kind of had that rapport with a lot of these guys, I think it kind of changes. Like that's just me and personally, just in general. All right, now to our last final of our preview, kind of our hot takes, I guess you can say. Um, Blake
Blake
Corum.
Courm. Oh yeah.
Can Blake Corum be a RB1 if Kyren Williams is kind of injury prone here and there? Is it possible?
Yes, and this was one of the more famous transactions from last year in our dynasty league, because I needed the roster spot, so I this was before Kyren Williams was Kyren Williams. Okay, we all make our mistakes, and I'll own up to it. I dropped him before the season. I needed the roster spot, I think in July or August. So I dropped Kyren Williams, ended up having like a top 5 running back fantasy year. So I look stupid for that. But he is injury prone. I mean, and a lot of these Rams running backs are, I mean, they burn out. I mean, they burn out quick. I mean, they're like a star. Like it's just, wow. Darrell Henderson Jr. for a little bit. Wow, like a star. Even a little further back, Todd Gurley, like a star. A lot of these McVay running backs he's had. So I wouldn't be. And Blake Corum, I think the world of from Michigan. I think he was a big factor, even a bigger factor than J.J. McCarthy or Roman Wilson or any of the Michigan guys on that offense. I think Blake Corum was the machine behind the national championship team. So I love me some Blake Corum. He can catch passes. Obviously he's a little bruiser. It reminds me a lot. I know he's kind of a shitbag, but he reminds me a lot of a young Ray Rice. When the old Ravens running back from back in the day. He reminds me a lot of him. Ray Rice had some really productive years before he was an idiot and got himself in trouble. So, he's ready. I mean, Kyren Williams has earned the number 1 job for sure. But if he gets injured, something happens, Blake Corum is right there to pounce. So I'd definitely get your shares of Blake Corum right now.
Yeah, I know Williams had about 600
Ronnie Rivers. Who's going to be Blake Corum's competition? Ronnie Rivers?
I know. Yeah. No, I was just gonna say here, Williams. I know before you ended up dropping him, and then it's just one of those mental things when you kind of get in dynasty, like, oh, this guy's a no-namer. You end up, it's like you drop him on.
I know what he did at the end of 2022. I didn't think anything of it. I'm like, oh, he's probably going to have another 600-700 yard, complimentary season. I mean, and there'll be guys like that. There'll be guys that, I mean, I think every guy, guy, gal, any owner will do it. You discard somebody you don't think that you're like, oh, 6th round pick from Notre Dame and blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden he's like, okay, whoa, this guy's like the number 3 rated fantasy running back. Wow, that was a mistake. So there'll be these guys that just out of nowhere. That's why I don't think it's that crazy to think Blake Watson, could do something like that with the Broncos in a couple of years. You're like, whoa, you look up and Blake Watson 2025 is like a top 6 or 7 fantasy back. You're like, whoa, where'd this come from?
Well, you have to think about it too. I mean, we Blake Corum was one of the top like receiving running back, dual threat running backs. He had nearly, I think it was like 500 or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but he was up there with Ashton from Boise State. Those were the 2 top guys that were, the dual threat guys that, were putting up freaking numbers, So, I mean, why can't this guy be that in Denver,
Yeah. Corum with the Rams. And I'm not as big on Marshawn Lloyd with the Packers, but I think they're just going to ask him to be a complimentary guy. But there's some certain running backs in spots where I'm like, because I mean, that's where you get the cheap labor from. We just started the program with all these big contracts and with the Cowboys and who are they, who's the odd man out and not getting paid. Like you got to cut money somewhere. So it's okay. Kickers are cheap. Tight ends based on their production are pretty reasonable. Running backs based on their productions are really reasonable. So, I mean, you can kind of cut corners some places. And if you can get a 6th round pick like Kyron Williams to come in and have a top 5 fantasy season or a top 5, he helped the Rams make the playoffs last year. They almost beat the Lions in that game, in that wild card game. So you're going to go with that option over somebody a little more expensive. So, unless you're a Christian McCaffrey, you're replaceable, so, and we saw that this past offseason. So Blake Courm, yeah, it seems crazy now, but I wouldn't be shocked. Kyron Williams goes down for a few weeks. Blake Courm steps in and they're like, wow, okay, we could probably, maybe Kyron Williams is traded in the 2025 offseason. Maybe, hey, let's cash it in now. I mean, there's somebody that thinks they can get this out of him. Another 1,000+ yard rushing season, 500 yard receiving season. So yeah, Blake Corum's got a bright future. More or less what I'm getting at, Blake Corum's got a bright future with the Rams. Get your shares of him now while he's still, and he's a name, because everybody, if you watch college football, which most NFL fans do, and what we do, like, we know Blake Corum. He was one of the more famous college players, but like in terms of his fantasy value, it's never going to be this low.
Yeah.
Maybe at the end of his career, maybe in 5-6 years when he's kind of shot at that point, you can get him cheap.
Kyron Williams makes me think of what's his name from the Lions, that he had like that huge like 12-yard or 15-yard season.
Oh, Jamal Williams.
Yeah,
Jamal Williams. Yeah. People forget Jamal Williams from the Lions a couple years ago had 17 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
And last year with the Saints, he didn't get his first rushing touchdown until the last game of the season. Jamal Williams,
Right?
previous year, 2022. And we're not talking like 2018. I mean, 2022, 17 touchdowns. Next year, 1.
Yeah.
So that's how quick these running backs can. So I mean, you have to be. It has to be quick. Like you can't stay stuck to a running back too long, unless, like I said, Christian McCaffrey is a different breed.
Yeah,
the guy's an animal. But other than that, you can't. I mean, Josh Jacobs could fall off a cliff this year. Tony Pollard, wasn't that great last year, but he could fall off a cliff. Austin Eckler obviously was declining with the Chargers. He could easily be done this year. So these guys that we were beholden to are like, yeah, you gotta. So it's running back is just, shift real quick.
Yeah, that is for sure. It is, and and Blake Corum was actually, I think he was drafted second. I think it was day 2 guy. Guy. Yep. So more likely he will be worked in there. So just keep an eye on training camps, and whatnot. Just we'll kind of try to bring up some of that stuff when we do our previews as much as possible. Get all of the information we can, and let to kind of put it out there. You kind of think of it as more as like a kind of a draft prep kit. For all these previews that we're going to be giving you the next 8 weeks, and so that'd be kind of like a helpful we'll kind of rank everything for you guys. We'll just kind of put our Eli will put out his rankings 1 through 5, and I'll just come in and say yes or no. I'll swap this guy or that guy. So we'll just give you that. We'll have some, we'll actually have some graphics for you, so we'll have a plenty full of information for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm thinking I want to do, this might change, but just initially what I'm thinking, to give you guys a little bit of a heads up here, might do a top 5 like fantasy per team or per position with the division as a whole, maybe the top 5 tight ends the top 5 players. And then I'm also, Barry, might be the Bills, top 5 fantasy players for the Bills, might be top 5 fantasy players for the Dolphins, and then I'm aside from that, I'm going to do a rookie list. So my top 5 rookies for that division too. So that'll be on top of that. So some of these players might get doubled up. But like Buffalo, I'm like Keon Coleman, right? As of right now, he'd probably be in my top 5 for rookies for AFC East. Maybe Malachi Corley from the Jets. Maybe Javon Baker from the Patriots. Guys like that, and we'll see where they fall in.
All right, yeah, that sounds pretty good. We gave you guys a nice little kind of some hot takes.
Won't be Drake May. Won't be Drake May.
Yeah, so we'll be talking about Drake May and all those lovely guys here next week, because we'll be starting with the NFC East, the Jets, Patriots, Miami, and Patriots and Dolphins. I think I said those, whatever team. But yeah, we'll be hitting up all those. So stay tuned next week, Wednesday. We are also looking for guests for our preview shows as well. So if you guys are, creators and, love talking football, if you guys want to jump in with us, I guess Eli has got his at Eli Appletoff, at me at Algorithm Fan. So if you guys want to get a hold of us on Twitter, get us holes on Twitter. All the links will be in the description below too as well. So if you want to join us Wednesdays for our preview shows, give us a jingle, let us know. We'll give you a heads up and give just overall. Well, it'll be fun. And then
Chopping up with the boys.
Yep. And then make sure you give us a subscribe too as well on our YouTube channel. We're almost at 100. Well, I like to maybe be over 100 before our season starts, but join our Discord. Our Instagram channel is Algorithm Fantasy. You can type that in and search Spotify and Apple, Podbean, whatever. It's all those sister channels, but mostly Spotify and Apple is where you can find us. So, but yeah, I think that's the gist of it. I have another salmon patty to eat, and I have to get to work. So, we will see you guys next Wednesday, 7:00 Central Time. We'll be covering the NFC East. Until then, I'm Jamie. That's Eli. We'll catch you guys next time from
Wax off.
from Algorithm Fantasy Sports. We'll catch you guys next time. Later.